All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fabulous match of Hollow Knight All Skills. Today we have a fifth round matchup between Jeff is Epic and Xero. This is going to be a real good match today. We're in the final round of Swiss, our preliminary rounds, then we're going to be going into a top 16 bracket. But for now, we're just here to watch both of these runners race the All Skills race. My name is Herm. I'll be commentating for you today, and joining me on the mic is a very special co-commentator. This man has kept times immaculately in chat for many rounds, and we are incredibly lucky to have him here today on his first ever comms. Greetings to Rixian.
Hello, I'm Rix. I'm going to be with you right away. I'm going to count down the runners, and then we're going to see them start in about 40 seconds stream delay.
Excellent. But yes, few housekeeping things here. This is a patch 1221 match. What that means is we're playing on a faster patch of Hollow Knight. As you can see on these runner screens, only 2 of the 4 DLC packs are loaded in, and that's because this patch is before the Lifeblood update that took a lot of things out of the game. Additionally, we will be running the game in simplified Chinese. That is when text scrolls fastest, which is a classic speedrunning thing. Unlike my common co-commentator Virgil, I am not fluent in the language, so I don't think you'll be seeing much Chinese lore here, but just know that the runners know what they're clicking on. They are very experienced with these messages.
They really are. The runners are counted down, so we're just waiting for them to start on our restream. But both runners have run a lot of different categories, so all skills is not their primary, but definitely what we want to see today. Actually, while we're waiting, this is a fun fact. Both hold a world record in each a very little run category. All bosses, 0 for no main menu storage, and
Oh,
Jet
wow.
for the Grim Troop version.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's the fun thing about Hollow Knight is we have many leaderboards. But all skills, one of the most popular categories, especially from this tournament. Many runners started in with very little experience at all, or just started the category recently. These folks are pretty experienced Hollow Knight-wise, have done this King's Pass tutorial area many times, as you see them sort of slashing through it. But yes, we're going to be seeing some quality racing today as we sort of walk around through the tutorial area, a fun little individual level. At the end, in classic Herm commentary fashion, we will have a knock-knock joke, but first, shout out to SpeedGaming for the sync. And yeah, we'll just be passing like kings at this point.
Yeah, it's the people arrive area. We
It
just
really
have to
is.
go through there, and it really doesn't decide anything. Just
Okay,
waltzing in.
Rixian.
Yeah.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Fake boss.
False Knight who? I'm so sorry, Herm made me.
I did, it's true. It was not Rixian's choice, but shoutouts to Sylvie for providing that wonderful knock knock joke. As always, please send me more knock knock jokes if you want this terrible trend to continue. We're kind of running out, so it would be nice, but that's okay. We have enough to do 2 in this race, and I believe 2 in the next, so we should be fine. But now they're going to be heading into Crossroads to fight that fake boss we just mentioned. And by fight, we mean sort of give him a high five and run away.
Yeah, I like to think of it as we're gonna start fighting him, and then we notice how long it takes, and we just say, "Oh, you know what? We got a prior engagement, family emergency just came up. We gotta go meet our sister. Goodbye."
Yes, that is an excellent analogy. Frankly, I think that False Knight is asking to take a lot more time than we're willing to give them. As you can see here with our runners, they both get the double spike kill on the Aspid Arena, which is very good. You'll love to see it. Just sort of a quick kill that helps us get out of that arena real quick. And now they're going to be going through some cycled rooms. You see both of them in the Gome room here, heading up towards the Crossroads Stag and False Knight. This sort of split is very consistent in that you have to do it at pretty much the beginning of every run. It's going to look the same.
Yeah, most people who are hanging out here are probably used to it by now. So I think we can take the time and talk a bit about what to expect here.
Absolutely.
Jeff's PB is a 56-18, and what's really notable about Jeff is that he has had a 56 time in every race so far. Both
The
runners have
consistency.
had 4 races. And Xero has a very recent PB of a 51-28 a couple of days ago. And Xero has not had super consistent race times. Instead, he has just been getting faster and faster.
Wow.
Started out at an hour and then 2:45s and a recent 42, which is
I
really
mean, there
impressive
you
in a
go.
race.
That is super impressive, especially in a category like all skills, as we hopefully won't see here, but a lot of things can go haywire. We have some really difficult skips, dark rooms, spike tunnel, acid skips, all of these things that you would see in sort of a hard logic randomizer seed. We get to experience them in all skills. And with boss RNG sometimes being very much the bully, things can go wrong in a lot of ways. But thankfully for now, these folks are able to make it through False Night pretty cleanly, and we'll be heading into Ancestral Mound, where we'll pick up our very first ability, Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, it looks like Xero is a bit ahead here, but not a lot. Just 5 seconds difference between the two entering Ancestral Mound. Which is, can be equalized in under 2 minutes just by the Boulder Split RNG that is coming up.
Yes, absolutely. Those boulders in patch 1221, we only have to deal with one of them. Current patch folks have to deal with two. But unfortunately, it's a 50% chance to get a useful boulder or a useless infection spit, and sometimes it can feel like that chance of getting a boulder is much less than 50 as you sit there and your time just sort of falls down the drain. But hopefully both of these runners will get decent RNG. They are sort of just going through Mound as fast as possible. We want nothing to do with this area. We're just forced to be in it. But thankfully, it's not too long, so it's just a little trek over to that Elder Boulder and pray to bless RNG.
Yeah, I mean, we're forced to be in it because we're running all skills, and VS is a skill. You can, of course, if you really want to, play the game without getting VS. First
Really,
step for
really
Xero.
want to. It requires a lot of desire.
It does, and a third split for Jeff, so putting him behind an additional, 2 or 3 seconds.
Yes. And so both of these runners able to head on out. You'll see Jeff doesn't take that bench there. That's just fine because we have a hard save from picking up Vengeful Spirit that we're going to be quitting back to. It will respawn us at that bench following our completion of the Mothwing Cloak and Mantis Claw splits. So it's a very, very useful hard save for us to have. And we're just going to be heading up towards the second boulder, but instead of killing this one, we get to use our own cowardice, run off screen, and in classic 1-2-2-1 fashion, kill it in one hit.
Yeah, that's one of the pleasant-like add-ons that you're given if you decide to run 1-2-2-1. In the end, there isn't that much of a difference in times between 1-2-2-1 and current patch. 2 or 3 minutes, I think, depending on the category. But you do get to do things like skip this boulder, skip some other enemies, like the big Husk Guard in City, and of course do lever skips to get early Shade Soul and just melt all the bosses.
Yes, it is very useful, and we'll be pointing it out along the way. But for now, we're heading into Green Path. You will notice that Xero got that first Fireball skip and Jeff didn't, so that will further separate the runners. There are 3 Fireball skips in Green Path, and we're using that Vengeful Spirit we just picked up as an air stall to move us backward just slightly and sort of feign having a dash. You'll see the second Xero gets it in 2 Fireballs. That's very good. You can use 3 if you're feeling like it's not so comfy. But we'll have 3 of these in total, and getting all of them is definitely the goal. But in the end, the second one is the nicest to get, as otherwise you have to do a rather annoying backup with a squid pogo.
Yeah, hurting the squid is just annoying, and sometimes it doesn't quite cooperate. So it's great to see both runners making the Fireball skip. Should be about 15 seconds apart here. which is not all that much. And also kind of within the expected range for their respective PBs.
For sure. And Jeff sort of missing that fireball skip on the first time, but on 1-2-2-1, notably not on current patch, there's a soul totem right there, so he's able to get a back up and go for it. And Xero going in. Rix, did you see if he got the double there?
He did.
Yes,
He got the
very nice.
double.
So
You can see how he came out with 3 souls to spare. Because that's the best part about getting the double, is not that it's that much faster, but you can do less soul collection in this room now.
yes, if you get that Moss Knight to sort of do a tactical retreat, your fireball will hit twice, and these double hits are really critical to what our runners will be doing in a lot of fights here, because double the damage at the same cost. It's buy one, get one free, basically. And it looks like Xero has bad Moss Knight's RNG here, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
the
we'll
Moss
clean it
Knights
up soon.
can spawn, like the one wandering Moss Knight, the one that is not sleepy, can spawn in different positions. And if he spawns to the far right, you just have to wait for him to come over and either run the risk of damage tanking or just stand around and wait. And speedrunners don't like to stand around and wait.
Absolutely not. And it looks like Jeff is getting the better pattern here, which is nice. Always an enjoyable thing. Xero is going to be heading in to resolve those family troubles that Rixian was mentioning earlier, fighting Hornet. On this patch, she's a stagger value of 5, so you're just really focused on bullying her into a corner in quick succession and chaining those fireballs whenever you can.
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, this whole game is just about a sibling squabble. The little knight going, I can do that, and having his conflict with Hornet. And later
Hollow
with...
Knight. Family Simulator. You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna switch audio to Xero. Thanks, Gidge, for the reminder.
And Jeff employing some Fury strats there without the use of Fury briefly, but is able to safely make it out of the fight. Xero, with a very nice cloak time, will now be heading into the fungal wastes. We hop back to the Ancestral Mound bench through save and quit, and then we're going to be using sort of the Leg Eater room as our access point towards Mantis Claw. This is a very fun split for many runners, considering you have dash and not claw, so you can sort of slide down walls, and you get to do some fun and interesting tricks like Explosion Pogo and Mantis Pogo.
Yeah, it's absolutely movement heavy, and you can do a bunch of safer and less safer strats that don't save that much individually, but put together, it's a lot. Now that Jeff has safely gone past Hornet, we can also see they are 35 seconds apart now, which is a bit of a time loss. Green Path can be that way. Cloak is a deceptively hard skip in terms of potential time loss.
For sure. In the end, there's a lot to mess up in Green Path, and there's really not a lot of stuff you can do that's going to just like save you radical amounts of time, especially with the way Hornet can be kind of a bully, as we'll see with Hornet 2 later on. But in both fights, RNG-wise, she can really dunk on you if you're not careful. But in terms of this claw split, it's a little bit more dependent on your just ability to get tricks here. You're going to see Xero grabbing some Geo from these emblems and rocks, and then we'll head down and do Explosion Pogo. This is a trick with a whole bunch of setups, but the most classic is sort of the simple double Pogo there. But that
Xero misses
seems to be
it
doing
first.
something.
Xero has been going for Wii Pogo, Muri Pogo, in races. But this looks more like, yeah, the low percent setup.
Yeah, that was low percent. I think the first time was a Wii Pogo setup, and then from there went for low percent, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, giving us the content. Very respectable. Should give Jeff a bit of time to catch up if he makes it first try. Though not all of their difference. And there we see Jeff going for the classical or standard all skillsy Pogo.
Yes, and a very, very nice Mantis Pogo from Xero there. Really, no mishaps. Those Mantises can bully the heck out of you if you're not careful, or even if you are. But Xero gets out of there, sub 10 claw. You do love to see it. And Jeff gets his Mantis Pogo too, and we'll head on up and head on out. Now Zero's going to be heading to Shaman Stone, jokingly called the VS2 split by some, based on the tendency of runners to occasionally autopilot back towards False Night. But we're going to be grabbing our first and only charm of the run, and then heading towards Blue Lake.
Exactly. Jeff made it safely to Mantis Claw in the meanwhile. They're only 30 seconds apart now. Still a commanding lead for Xero if he doesn't make any mistakes. But the lead has shrunk a little. Jeff didn't get Mantis Pogo right away, but did a very good backup, which has happened to him, I believe, in every or nearly every of his races. And this is really something that is the mark of a very experienced player. Jeff plays a lot of what we call meme categories or non-mainboard categories, like all charm notches and so on. And having a lot of experience with those means that you are usually very experienced with various strategies and backups.
Yes, Jeff also has done a pretty decent amount of rando, and that will help with it too, because once you have to learn to do every different thing with all sorts of setups, you're pretty experienced for odd situations. So you love to see it. You love to see that flexibility. You do not love to see Jennifer dying. That jumping husk deserved life, but unfortunately does not get it. Xero over here is cleaning up Grez's mother. Pretty decent cleanup. You really want to get as many of those children down as fast as you can, but Jeff getting the headbang there for a little bit, but will vanquish Grez's mother as well.
Yeah, it's always funny how tightly rooted some of these splits are. Like the soul hits here are just super precise. You know that you're going in here with exactly 6 hits. And
Absolutely.
even in relatively well-rooted splits later on, you are more like, oh, you should have probably one fireball here maybe, or do something else. Whereas the
Yes.
Grasmam kill is just very, very precisely routed.
We'll see Xero there did the death fireball, always fun. And now we'll be, after taking that intentional death, we'll be shade skipping to the Blue Lake. We don't see a fireball or anything from the shade, which is what you want to see. That fireball wastes a few seconds, and it's just downright annoying. But Xero will make it safely to Blue Lake. This is how we're getting to right side. We're not going to hop up and grab Dreamnail yet, though. We're actually heading down into Right Side City, which we're sort of going to be bouncing around during this next part of the run.
Yeah, this is also where our geo restrictions come in. Late game geo is pretty lenient, but early game geo is tight. Because we have to get // to get our Shade Soul to deal a ton of damage. And // is very, very expensive.
I've always called it a scam, and I will continue to do so. I mean, it's much more of a scam on current patch where you can't lever skip, and still this scam is one worth our money, but it is a rather exorbitant 800 geo, and so for that reason, pretty much every opportunity that these folks get in the bourgeoisie side of the city, they're going to be killing husks, mowing them down with their fireballs to get geo, and then we're going to go and kill the, in my opinion, less than aptly named gorgeous husk. While it is, I truly do not believe that beauty can stem simply from wealth, and it is not a particularly gorgeous creature, but it does give us 420 geo, which is something that will give us a big head start towards the 800 we're going to need in Kingdom's Edge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Gorgeous Husk gave me 420 geo to call it gorgeous, and I will continue to do so. It seemed like a super fair deal to me.
It's a bribe.
It really is a bribe. The runners maintain their distance currently, so there's nothing much to say there. Just over 30 seconds apart. And yeah, this both look pretty decent on Geo. Jeff actually pretty high.
Yes, that's quite good for Jeff.
Yeah, we want to have at least 704, I believe, Geo going, or 6 Geo going into Kingdom's Edge. But that would be very low and very tedious, so anything above that is good, really. And Jeff will be comfortably above that.
Yes, and really that's quite nice because we are going to have to be gathering. We do have a second sort of segment of geo gathering, which is while less intense, also less concentrated as we're sort of multitasking, grabbing 300 Geo for King Station Stag and working our way up and through Soul Sanctum. So it's nice to have sort of a Geo cushion, and we may see Jeff still choosing to go for some hoppers that he may not immediately need here in the Kingdom's Edge, even though 751 is a very high on Geo. But either way, we will see runners farm at least this one row of hoppers, which drop 16 Geo apiece. It gets more annoying in the second row when you're sort of guarded by a primal aspid, but thankfully these runners have trained very well to avoid it. And
Yeah, and you
Xero is
see
good on
Xero
Geo.
coming out there exactly on 805 Geo. So he will have to do a bit more of Geo farming before buying King's Station. But you know, that's future Xero problems, so he can just ignore that and run right past to the Nailmaster's hut.
Current Xero problems are handing Oro his 800 Geo. Look, I've done it. I did my quest. Now give me my dash slash. And this dash slash is incredibly important to us throughout the run, because it allows us to skip a whole bunch of levers in the City of Tears, and it will save us a lot of grief. But most importantly, besides saving us some annoying rooms in Soul Sanctum and such, we're going to be able to grab Shade Soul, as Rixian has mentioned, which does 40 damage on a hit with our Shaman Stone and 80 on a double. So it will help us tear through some of these early game bosses, which is what we love to do. We love to go fast.
Yeah, and now that Jeff has entered Oro's hut, you can see they are only 23 seconds apart anymore. Oh no, wait, I wasn't calculating straight. No, they maintain their just over 30-second difference. Because the lead had expanded a bit beforehand. But they get the ability that is mostly good when you're playing on 1-2-1. And yeah, looking comfy on Geo is definitely good, because exiting Sanctum is when we get most of the remainder.
And Xero having trouble with the elevator. It is a formidable foe. I mean, they talk about the enemy variety in Hollow Knight, and an elevator is certainly one of them.
Absolutely, elevators are strictly evil. You can't tell me otherwise.
Elevator alignment neutral evil. And you'll see Xero here heading into that dark room. It's not a true dark room in the ones we'll see later on in the game, which we have to go through because we don't buy the Lumafly lantern. We actually don't even sell the Lem at any point in this run. But that is because the room has not loaded in since we hit the lever through the floor, which is a 1-2-2-1 exclusive thing. But thankfully, these runners have learned to navigate it without issue. Xero fireballing that Rava back there for safety, but no issue. We'll head up into Soul Sanctum.
Yeah, and Jeff makes that first lever skip without taking a single hit of damage, which can be tricky, but is really good because entering Sanctum on full HP is really what you want to do. Sanctum can be a bully, and that lever skip can be very tricky, so that's really good to see.
It's very nice. And so we're going to see sort of this is the special treat we're all here for. The other thing that allows us to do this lever skip, it's not simply the fact that the lever skip exists, but Team Cherry in a future patch also separated the Soul Sanctum room loads-wise, and did not make it just separated by that door, as they said there were too many connected rooms on a later patch. So I suppose it's Team Cherry's moment to arrive with spaghetti, but for now, over here, we can just hop in, grab our Shade Soul, and then now we have big damage heading into Sanctum.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, Xero doesn't have any spare soul right now, which will prolong the upcoming boss, or, well, maybe mini-boss fight a little. But he should be fine.
I died to Soul Warrior twice the number of times I died to Soul Master in terms of the Elegant Q1. So thankfully, though, these runners know how to use spells. They know how to get damage out. And so you're going to hopefully see some of those double hits here. Yeah, there was one just right there. That Soul Warrior only has 180 hit points, so it's pretty easy to down. And yeah, we just sort of breeze through it. That's a free 200 Geo for us. And now we have to deal with these Soul Twisters who can really teleport into your face. I'm sure Xero is less than comfy on 2 masks right now just because of how annoying they can be, but gets through it just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see how he teleported directly in front of him. Which is just especially while you're dashing, is just something you can't avoid. You just have to face tank them and then damage boost through. Jeff is having a bit of a better time here, while Xero is entering the first, let's say, serious boss fight, maybe. It's still pretty fast, but it's not like Force Knight or Grasmam level quick.
Yes. There is a quick kill you can get on Soulmaster, but it's very precise. It requires you to get in 6 nail hits within a pretty short amount of time. And it also requires good RNG. That dive attack is really not what you want to see from Soulmaster. It's the only thing worse is a fake dive. But thankfully, no matter what, with our Shade Soul, Soulmaster is going to perish pretty quickly, as you can see on Xero's screen. And we'll go into that second phase where he only has 100 hit points. So it shouldn't be too much of a bother. Deaths to Soulmaster are pretty uncommon in general. In fact, the area beforehand is likely much more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Though I can say that in my casual playthrough, entering that second phase did not feel good. It really did.
Oh, I died the first time because I thought I was done. And it just sort of was like I just wasn't prepared for it at all. So when the second phase started, I died. But once you actually know the second phase is happening, it's really not too big of a deal. With only 100 hit points, that's pretty much one Shade Soul double, two Shade Souls, something of the like. Yeah, there it is for Jeff. So it's no big deal. These runners will be picking up the Desolate Dive. Unfortunately, we cannot save and quit from here as this is a hard save. I mean, we could save and quit. We would just end up right back where we are. So we need to head out of Sanctum manually. And thankfully, due to our lever skips, we're able to do so with some degree of ease. But we'll be grabbing Geo along the way. Let's see. Zero's at 238 right now. We'll need to be grabbing some pretty significant amounts of Geo on the way out.
Yeah, and we see the lead kind of remains unchanged, more or less. We are at, I think, 37 seconds now, exiting dive. But it is worth noting that while Zero's fight was really good, he also did take a bit of time, just RNG and stuff like that. So he is now behind his PB by a more sizable margin, whereas Jeff maintains a lead on his PB, which is really, really good to see in a race.
Yes, that is awesome. We've seen a lot of race PBs throughout this tournament, and so we'll just hope that Jeff keeps playing at the top of his ability. I mean, heck, we almost saw a world record yesterday in Axe versus Monster. So it's really incredible how these players are able to pull all sorts of cool stuff off in a race setting. Even when Sanctum can just be a bully of an area, and that is an ugly 2 massive damage for Xero from the Great House Sentry. It shouldn't be too much of a concern because heading out of here, we're going to be taking a bench right away at Watcher's Spire. And that bench is very, very important, and it's why it's kind of awful to die in Crystal Peak, because we're going to be quitting back to it all the way at the end of our journey through Peak and grabbing Dream now.
Yeah, those 2 masks of damage were scary, but they were also kind of necessary because Xero exited Sanctum on 237 also of Geo. And so he really needed that Geo because we have to buy King's Station for 300 Geo now. Whereas Jeff already has those 300. So he's probably gonna gain some amount of time on Xero here.
Yeah, that's a really
I think somebody
thing.
asked in chat, Jeff's PB is a 56.18 currently. So nice. That's a really good and respectable time. Doesn't have enough soul though to break through the
we'll
ceiling
take the
there.
elevator down. That's funny.
That's very respectable.
Yes. Just allowing the public transportation to do its work.
Yeah, not breaking everything. It's civilized, really.
Respect the environment. But yes, we're going to see both runners are going to be stagging to Dirtmouth. We don't grab Crossroads Stag in this variation of all skills. Current patch folks oftentimes do, but that does mean we have to go all the way from Crossroads Stag to Peaks. No, not Dirtmouth Stag to Peaks. You'll see Xero use that nail art as well for early control. Very nice. And so we're going to be heading into peaks, saying hi to Mila, who absolutely should not be killed under any circumstances. Hopefully, we will not see these runners attempt such a horrendous act at any
I'm
point.
sure we
But
can rely on them to be civilized, good people.
yes, it's just so unnecessary to be so heinous. But thankfully, for now, we must go fast and ignore Mila, even if that doesn't mean saying hello. And we'll be heading into peak, where we have to manage our health very carefully, as there are 2 damage tanks that you can take. Sometimes you'll even end up taking more. A lot of times you'll even end up taking more. And Soul is very hard to come by. So what that means is if you want to go for the damage cycle on Crystal Heart, which is something that saves 4 seconds, you got to take damage. And also if you want to do the early control on Descending Dark, which saves about 15 seconds, you want to take damage. So getting hit in peaks is something you very much don't want to see, especially because all of these rooms are cycled, and getting off cycle is one of the last things you want.
Yeah, getting off cycle is bad, and the thing with sorry, I'm interrupted by Xero, who goes for Pogax because he loves content and he does love us, but sadly fails it. So
Unfortunate.
we'll have to see if Jeff goes for the same. Pogax is a trick where you pogo the axe that one of the miners throws if you aggro it in the right way, but it's kind of finicky, and in this instance it was just missing the pogo, but you can also get an unfortunate throw.
Yes.
So Jeff doesn't decide to go for it, and that's
No,
very
I think Jeff got
respectable.
it.
Oh, sorry. I don't. I thought I saw him going
Oh,
backside.
no worries.
Okay.
I think I
Extra
saw.
woos and apologies to Jeff. Very
Yes,
content.
Pogax, very fun trick. Notably, not invented by Axe2U. That is um, sort of a urban legend that has taken root to the point that many people actually believe in it. But it is a very fun trick, and you'll love to see it. Jeff, unfortunately, taking a hit there, but we'll be able to get through this room. As you can see, getting off cycle required him to wait quite a bit. Also falling there, so might just be a little shaken. But heading into Crystal Heart, here's Xero. We'll start out with that dash slash as an air stall, and then we'll be heading into the larger part of the platform.
Yeah, another thing that we saw here and that we might see again is a dash slash storage. Xero didn't do that in Sanctum, if I remember correctly. But you can basically open your inventory into a fall just before the dash slash releases, and then it will release on your next dash slash, on your next dash,
Yes.
which it is very useful because it saves the time to charge up the nail art, and also just looks swag as hell.
we keep comms clean with Rixian.
We really do.
But Xero got underplat, so underplat woo for Xero. Very nice, and I actually didn't see if Jeff got it. But now runners have Crystal Heart, and they're going to be heading into the second portion of peaks, first through these crushers that you can see Xero doing. Very much cycled. I've always hated those. But they'll be heading towards Crystallized Mound, where we're grabbing Descending Dark. First, saving the grub. It wastes no time to save it. Honestly, it's harder to not save it. Thank you for saving the grub, Xero. But we're going to be heading to this dark room. We have to deal with it because we don't have Lantern. You'll see Xero resetting the room right there. Might have just had a poor start. But after that, we're heading into Crystallized Mound, grabbing Descending Dark, and falling down into the dream.
Yeah, Xero got an unfortunate early dash and then a walkling dash off that. But it just looked as if he went in there, saw a dark room, and went right out of there. What? Dark room's not with me, not today. I'm leaving.
That's it. I'm going and buying Lantern.
But he gets it very cleanly. Seriously. Good peaks overall. Jeff had a bit more trouble, as peaks is really, really tricky with a tight movement because you're gonna... Did I call first Xero? Please.
Oh boy.
And there we have it.
Welcome to commentating, Rixian. Your first curse.
My baby's first com curse.
Baby's first com curse. You heard it here first. That is...
Yeah, that's super unfortunate and will cost Xero a lot of time to go back. It's
I mean, to be
arguably the
fair, it
second
was almost
worst
me because
placed.
I was about to say, 3 masks into crystallized mound should be no big deal at all. Zero's definitely got this. But you beat me to it. So there we go. That is a really, really unfortunate death, because it's right at the end of the split. That is very much the last point of danger. And so Jeff is going to be heading out and will be significantly in the lead at this point, getting the early control on Descending Dark and Falling Down. Because at this point, though he doesn't have to go through the entirety of Peaks again, we'll be able to skip part of it. Still has to go all the way back to Mound, do the Dark Room again, and redo Mound. And that is, yeah, people in chat are saying about a 2-minute time loss. And that is not what you want to see at this point.
Yeah, in the past when runners have died there, it was 2 minutes give or take. It's not quite the worst place to die, but I'm pretty sure it's the second worst place to die. Dying just before C dash, I think is worse because you don't have C dash yet to get you back there faster.
Yeah, it's up there with things like dying in green paths really up there as well because you have to do it
Yeah,
again without dash.
deaths to
Darkness.
Hornet and deaths to Dark Deep Nest also
Yeah.
feature there, but this is really rough on Xero and does put Jeff in a lead. I'm gonna switch audio to him.
Makes sense. But yeah, you'll see Jeff doing the dream plats. This is where we have our underplat 2 electric boogaloo that we'll hopefully see. We get to just see dash through these, which is good. Went over the plat. You hate to see it. Really unfortunate from Jeff there. But we'll grab Dream Nail and we'll be able to quit out back to the Watcher's Fire. Folks in chat saying he is 30 seconds ahead of PB, so hopefully things keep going well for him here because that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Like, before it was just 10 seconds, but he caught up a lot here. And at the same time, we see Xero. Remember that he has more abilities and more open paths, doesn't have to do all of peaks again.
Very good.
Lots of game knowledge and random knowledge coming in there. So we'll just have to hope that everything goes smoother now for him.
Yeah, and that
I
is
didn't say
unfortunate.
anything.
Unfortunate dunk in the dark room. But that is something that you just get. I mean, Xero has been in this community since 2017, since the year the game was released, and really has a lot of experience, and that sort of ability to think on your feet just comes from interacting with this game for thousands of hours. But hopefully we'll be able to get through this dark room okay. Seems to be in a better place on this go about. And here's Jeff. Jeff's hitting the chandelier. Good dark rooms from Xero there. Hitting the chandelier to kill the first Watcher Knight, and we'll dream nail them for soul because you can dream nail them in the background. And now we're going to be seeing all skills Watcher Knights, which is we have significantly more damage than in any percent or low percent, but things can certainly get out of hand because of the amount of damage tanks we're going to be taking sometimes. We're very reliant on the iframes that Descending Dark does. Descending Dark does 88 damage if you hit with the full shockwave, which is very helpful because it kills the Watcher Knights in about 2 3/4 of those. But Xero making it through Mound with no issue on the second go round, and we'll do this early control.
Yeah, it's great to see, and I believe let's wait for Xero's room exit. That will put him about 40 seconds behind Jeff there. Oh no, wait, it's a little, it's more. I was looking at the DreamNet split. So it's more, yeah, it's closer to 2 minutes.
Okay, that makes sense. Just a really, really tough death to take, but also Xero. I mean, there's still plenty of time for that lead to change hands, or even just sort of through Xero having better practiced movement. It is kind of crazy how much time individual mistakes can cost you or individual optimizations can save you. And so we're really just gonna have to see. But both of them are sort of having the dream sync as Jeff beats up Lurian and Xero enters the Dream Nail cutscene. And yeah, they'll be heading. Xero will head off to Watcher Knights after this, and Jeff's gonna head down to do the Isma skips.
Yeah, this is also still putting Jeff 30 seconds ahead of his PB. After Watcher Knights, his fight was really good. Watcher Knights can cost you a surprising amount of either health and danger or time. Like, the fight isn't hard if you just want to kill them, but if you want to go fast, you can be forced into some damage tanks.
For sure. I think that is something that you'll really see in a lot of parts of this run here, in that like we have the damage to kill most of the things that we encounter very safely, but we want to do it as fast as possible, and sometimes things can get very dangerous in the process. Especially with the Watcher Knights RNG, they can roly and poly and just absolutely ruin your day by bouncing around all over the place. So thankfully, so Jeff is through that, and hopefully Xero will get decent RNG as he quits back out. But Jeff's going to be heading down towards Ancient Basin, but we're not going to be going to Basin just yet. We're heading to Isma's Grove, where we will go ahead and do 3 skips in succession. The first is a spike tunnel, generally regarded as the hardest of the 3 on 1-2-2-1, and then 2 consecutive acid skips.
Yeah, and Jeff either just was collecting soul in any case, or was remembering that he still needed to break the ceiling there. But anyway, he did. We can ask him afterwards. And does do the spike tunnel first try, super clean. All of his acid skips and spike tunnel skips have been super clean in the past, so this is just a joy to watch, while Xero is coming up on Watcher Knights.
Absolutely. That was really just showing the prowess of the rando experience, the meme categories experience. I mean, once you do the all charm notches acid skips, these probably don't seem as terrifying, but they are very difficult skips, and you'll see Jeff hitting that warp there for early control, which if the Wurmp decides to show up, doesn't look like it will, unfortunate. The Wurmp had another commitment to attend to, dentist appointment or something of the like. But we'll be able to head out with Isma's tier. And now we'll go into Basin, and there's Watcher Knights for Xero.
Yeah, Xero just making his way through there, taking a couple of hits, but nothing remotely dangerous. You really love to see it, and we'll see if he's gonna be able to catch up. Their PBs are 4 minutes, about 4.5 minutes apart. So a 2-minute difference is commanding, but not impossible to get back from around the middle of the race. But certainly it's everybody's game right now, I'd say.
Yes, absolutely, especially because some of these bosses can be rather terrifying. We've seen plenty of deaths to Broken Vessel coming up in the race simply because of the walk over there is pretty difficult and also fairly RNG dependent at some points. We can also just see Hornet 2's coming up very much on the horizon, could be a scary moment for either runner. And so yeah, we're just gonna have to keep watching. 2 minutes is definitely not set in stone in a category like this. But for now, we're just gonna hope that Jeff keeps playing well. Being 30 seconds ahead of PB is very much respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see, like, Hornet 2, for example, is a good example, because even if you don't die, you can just lose half a minute or more there if the fight goes bad, if you have to play carefully, if, I don't know, you get a lot of parries, stuff like that. And they are now under 2 minutes apart, so we'll just wait and see and enjoy the race, because both runners are really performing super well. Even with a death on Xero's side, that's just something that can happen. But he's been recovering super well. He doesn't play super tilted or anything. It's really good to see.
Yeah, and you really have to remember that in a race, in a no reset setting, mental fortitude and ability to adjust when things aren't going your way, when you take a death, when you fail a skip, that sort of thing, super, super important, because normally in a lot of these situations, runners would just be hitting the reset button. Looks like Jeff missed that early Shade Soul on Lost Kin, unfortunate. Not Lost Kin, Broken Vessel. There's some jokingly call him the harder Lost Kin. But yeah, that sort of ability to adjust, to adapt in a setting like this one is very important and very respectable. And if Xero can keep up that, it will certainly end up being very close. But for now, Jeff's fighting the Broken Vessel, a bit of a pushover with only 525 hit points against our very much upgraded spells. As you can see, Jeff getting rid of them pretty quickly, though I think did stagger them out of a few headbangs that would allow Jeff to change some damage. But good fight overall, and we'll go grab Monarch Wings as Xero finishes the Isma skips.
Yeah, Jeff has fallen behind a bit compared to his PB, but still ahead of it, just not by a whole 30 seconds. I'm not sure if you caught it. Broken Vessel just got stuck in the wall while trying to dash away from it. It looked hilarious. I've never seen that before.
Oh
Certainly
my, I'll
useful
have
if you
to
don't
watch
have
it
to
back.
run after it.
Yes. It tried to run away, but there was nowhere to hide. Unfortunate. It's rather difficult to play hide and seek as the Broken Vessel. They were taking
While
a rather
Xero,
unfortunate dunk there, but we'll be just fine. We're buying this toll bench right away.
yeah,
They're going to be
exactly.
approximately one ancient basin apart, to use my classic units of measurement system.
Yeah, a very good measurement system. Though shoutouts to Chat and in particular Jenka keeping us on top of times.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, upcoming, so we're looking at 2 boss fights now. Xero, the Broken Vessel fight that we just saw, while Jeff is going forward to meet Hornet again, who has also upgraded a bunch of stuff, doing her own all skills run maybe, and is considered the toughest boss in all skills, possibly.
Yes, Hornet has really reflected on the family conflict at this point. A classic joke, a runner named Zira, her father, did have a great joke about why did Hornet seek the night out after her first fight? She found him dashing in his mothwing cloak. Um, and I love that joke.
Oh,
It is
yes,
quite terrible, very
that
dad, but Hornet's ready, and she's learned by some magical half higher being, half daughter of the leader of all the spiders. She's acquired the ability to parry our spells, which is very annoying. Not fun in the least. So we're just going to be hoping for very few of those, as well as generally good RNG. There's a pretty common Hollow Knight joke, in which is that the boss's worst attack is when it walks or jumps into you, and Hornet is no exception. She can be quite erratic, and Jeff will definitely not want to see those patterns coming up here.
No, absolutely. Xero, in the meantime, finishing off his boss fight, gave him a few unfortunate patterns in between, but he got the early doubles and then he got the headbang attack in the end to finish it off. So not the fastest, but makes it through safe, and we'll see how the times look.
Yes, and so far, Hornet 2 for Jeff is looking. Oh, did Shade Soul in the wrong direction there, unfortunate. Hornet 2 for Jeff is looking pretty decent. Has been playing really well so far, is getting some parries, but managing them well. That needle throw attack is really nice. It lets us get in a lot of damage, but overall, pretty clean fight thus far. Seems to be managing the whole thing well, getting lots of staggers. And yeah, that's Hornet 2. So had to deal with some jumping, some parries for sure, but definitely a good fight. And only taking 1 mask of damage is kind of sick.
Yeah, absolutely. This was really good. Jeff also maintains his like 25 to 30 second lead on his PB, which is also super
Great.
terrifying in a race setting in
Yeah, for
particular.
sure.
While Jenka updating us, we are now under a minute and a half apart, just 80 seconds. So we're seeing a Xero comeback here. But the only thing that remains to be seen is how far he can come back before the game is just over. So there's a lot of RNG and a lot of skills still to be seen here, like Umu, like long movement sections. So
Yeah.
anything could happen, really.
Jeff will be heading into what is generally considered the calmest section of the run. This is our Cyclone slash split. You'll see to quote Virgil, KP, Peepo, please arrive, because we'll head back in there. We're just going to be doing a lot of sea dashing on Jeff's screen. I've always joked that if I were to run all skills, I would exclusively run Cyclone/ILs, just because it's sort of a very calm split in a run that is very chaotic. But Xero will be
Really?
heading into Hornet too. But
We should absolutely do our runs together then. You can do my Cyclone splits.
I'll run only Cyclone Slash and you do the rest, Rix, and we'll be a
Yeah,
great team.
let's absolutely do that. If I don't have to
Because
go there,
then
there's
I
sea
only have
dashing.
to learn 2 minutes of race, and you can
Yeah,
do the
but 2 minutes
other
that are like
hour.
75% sea dashing. Who wants that? Come on.
Me. I'll feel like a
Really?
speedrunner without having to actually deal with all of the difficult parts.
I mean, there are a couple of really fun small optimizations even in the Cyclone split,
Very much
where
so.
you like throw away hit away a spike to avoid freeze frames because this is a very well coded game.
Yes.
Or you can also just pogo that French fly, but you don't want it to die to a spike. That's really annoying. But while Jeff is just waltzing along King's Pass, we see Xero on 2 HP, getting a couple of doubles, but generally having a bit less fortunate patterns than Jeff had.
Yes. Does manage to get out of it. Definitely seemed like a tougher Hornet fight for Xero there. Yeah, those patterns can certainly bully you just as much as Hornet 2 herself. But in the end, anything, any variety of bad RNG is going to be better than a death. And so for Xero, probably feeling some relief as he heads to that King's Brand, and at this point, 2 HP is not too much of a concern at any rate. And so Jeff is going to be picking up Cyclone Slash. They're basically that sort of one split apart at this point. And we'll now head down to meet our favorite orange jellyfish, Umu, which, as the name alludes to, can really, really let you have fun with the dreadful joy of random number generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Umu can give you a couple of different patterns that are all RNG, like giving you an extra attack in the first attack cycle. We try to finish off Umu within one cycle. Part of that is skill, but part of that is also a bit of luck or extra skill. Handling the extra attack is really hard. And then the attack patterns can also be long or short. So that
Yes.
also can be a bit of time loss. And Xero has had one cycles in races. I don't think Jeff has. I think he knows that one cycle, but hasn't gotten it in a race before.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they are only a minute and 10 seconds apart now. So this may make it even closer.
Wow. No, things are certainly tightening up, and we'll have to see because if Jeff fails to get a 2 cycle on Umu and Xero does, Xero will make up about 18 to 19 seconds, and that's pretty big because considering the lead's close to a minute now, things could be bad. And we'll just hope there won't be an extra. The extra depends on how much Umu moves around, but that is RNG, so it is pretty unfortunate if you get an extra attack. Hopefully Jeff will be able to get the 1 cycle. There are several setups that folks use. The most common one is with Shade Soul, though Volley for 1221 has sort of translated a current patch strategy of underlines to involve D-Dark Umu, but it looks like the standard 1 cycle from Jeff here as he sets up with that first short attack.
Yeah, the D-Dark strat is quite a bit newer. So fewer runners use it. It still remains to be seen if consensus will turn to, oh no, there we go. This does look like the D-Dark setup. That's
Oh,
very nice. And
oh, misses it. Really unfortunate. I think that was a missed double.
yeah, that was a missed double.
Really, really
Oh,
unfortunate. I mean, Umu will die immediately after, but that is volley setup right there. I've seen it pulled off twice successfully in a race. It is super cool and quite comfy from what I've heard. Yeah, Jinkar saying he missed the punch hit. But yeah, there easily finishes off Umu on the second cycle. But an unfortunate missed one cycle that if Xero manages to pull one off will significantly tighten the gap.
Yeah, this is also one thing that is really nice about this D-Dark setup, is that if you don't make it, you are in a really good position for a 2-cycle. Whereas the Shade Soul setup makes it a bit harder on you. You can still 2-cycle, but it's not as free. It's free for experienced runners, but I sure have had plenty of 3 cycles after a missed 1 cycle.
Yeah, and it's really hard to adapt as well, simply because of the fact that in that typical 1-cycle setup, when you're pushing Umu out of bounds, it can be a little bit difficult to tell immediately if you got the 1-cycle, and so with Umu still in the wall, you can get a little bit flustered and be like, "Oh shoot, I have to do this all again." And so that is unfortunate when it happens, but thankfully Jeff is just powering on through, vanquishes Monomon. Science is dead now. You love to see it.
Yeah, well, Xero is just swagging through Fog Canyon here, hitting jellies left and right, taking 0 damage himself. It's beautiful to see.
Absolutely. And Jeff will
And
do the archives exit here. Some folks are big into the left side diagonal archives exit, which save the tiniest bit of time, but most runners are comfy and experienced with right side. We're just going to be heading up and taking a bench here at Teacher's Archives. We can't do it at the beginning because Monomon hard save, but this bench is going to be sort of our central point as we run a few errands, grabbing Great Slash and Howling Wraiths. And yeah, this looks like a pretty standard 1-cycle setup from Xero.
yeah. And to answer Pom's question in chat, Xero sadly died on his way to D-Dark. Was about 2 minutes behind, but has been clawing his way back. So this is looking to be a pretty close race in the late game.
Yep, so there's 2, 3, 4. Yep, that should be good.
Oh, that
No, and
has
yeah,
got
like
to
we
be a
said,
missed double, right?
yes, I think had some difficulty with getting Umu out of bounds. Really unfortunate. And as you can see, it's hard to know immediately if that was a 1-cycle or not. Xero definitely not in the happiest. You can see those angry hops. But yeah, real easy on the 2-cycle, no big deal. Still quite annoying for him as he's trying to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. This could have been a lot of time save, and now it isn't. Frustrating. Rhino says the third fireball may have been early. It is fairly precise. You are pushing Umu out of bounds, and then you're doubling a bunch of stuff. And if you miss time a bit, that becomes painful very soon. So,
For sure. And Jeff will be platforming over to Great Slash. This is a fan favorite split among runners because it's pretty much pure movement, no RNG, just heading on over. And it involves the green path of pain, as some call it, platforming over to Shio's hut. Jeff unfortunately missing that first C dash a little bit. But it's no matter. This is a segment that runners are very, very experienced with because they have full movement and they just sort of know what they're doing. And I'm guessing Jeff has probably done a few check Shios or check 2 Nail Masters in his day. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some experience with that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Jenka, in the meanwhile, updating us that they are pretty much a minute flat apart after Monomon. So yeah, this is definitely still a race. Will be very interesting to see where it goes.
Yes, for sure. And there's Great Slash. That is our third and final nail art. We will be heading out now back to that Teacher's Archives bench, so you'll see sort of a little bit of bench sync in a way, not quite, but close enough. As Jeff's going to be going to get Howling Wraith. That's another example of a thing that's easy to do but hard to do fast, as those squits have enough health that we can kill them in 2 nail hits, but also just are kind of annoying creatures. Xero not getting that C dash, unfortunate.
Yeah, that C dash is RNG. In that the jellyfish can either detonate in your face or fly with you out the door. But in this split, it's kind of worth to just try, because you just have to do the, as you said, green path of of pain, or as I've also heard it called, the path of paint. So health is not a big issue. He said,
For sure.
absolutely not cursing Xero.
He said, as Xero falls to 2 masks.
Well, Jeff is going to go through this super, super annoying arena that is, even with big spells, only gets easier once you know exactly where the squids are gonna be.
Yes.
And
Just
it
kind
does
of
seem to
annoying.
get a bit away from him. Because once you miss a fireball there, it can be pretty bad. I think he tried to do the D-Dark strat there and then discovered that he didn't have enough soul.
That is most unfortunate. Sometimes it's those things, I mean, having commentated a good number of races, sometimes you just see runners come to the realization that their autopiloted strats don't exactly work. A very memorable one was during a current patch race when Insomnia fireballed the Watcher Chandelier and realized he didn't have Shade Soul. Sometimes
Yeah.
I know Virgil commentated a race where somebody did the D-Dark early control on one mask and died. Sometimes things just end up unfortunate due to just how practiced you are, not quite noticing everything in your surroundings.
Yeah, for example, Jeff just there missing the dash slash due to being just a little too high. We are thankful that we can skip this at all, but it can be a bit annoying how close to the ground you have to be, and it's very easy to jump there and then stare in frustration at the wall while you're charging up your nail art again.
Absolutely. And so both of the runners sort of dashing into each other's screens. Just gonna be heading into Queen's Gardens now, and this is the beginning of what is generally considered a somewhat scary split. Pretty much in any category, but for us, we have to do 3 rooms of Dark Deep Nest. So that Petra Arena, that Hazard Respawn Warp, those aren't too bad for us here, but what we're worried about is going through Dark Deep Nest, where any mistake will respawn you at the beginning of a room, with all the spikes falling out that you've hit. So it's just something where you really hope you don't make too many mistakes, because Deep Nest is a terrifying area, but you also don't want to make too many mistakes on the way over, as Mantis Petra are vicious enemies. Personally, my least favorite in the game, and you want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, and this is kind of where it would be interesting to know if Jeff is watching the race or not. Players have very different, runners have very different attitudes towards that. Because if he knows that he's ahead by about 50 seconds, that would maybe influence if he wants to heal here. On the other hand, he's also way ahead of his PB, so maybe he's just not healing on that basis.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, it's strategic decision, right? Because normally, if you're ahead in a race and you're well behind PB, of course you might be taking some steps that will ensure you keep your lead. But if you're ahead of PB, you're probably just going to be playing it as fast as possible to stay that way, to keep things going. As in a PB attempt, you're going to be playing your best. And so Dark Deep Nest is looking pretty good from Jeff so far. Hopping up there. And yeah, seems to be a little bit lost for a moment there, and yeah, gets through some parts. So that
Yeah, so
should be it. Yeah.
Jeff's unfortunate squid arena has cost him a lot of time. Jenka updating us that they are now only half a minute apart, with about, I'd say, 9 minutes-ish remaining in the game. That's not a lot of time left. So
No.
Jeff has a lead, but it's not a very comfortable lead, considering their PB difference and considering that there's still a bit of time left with
Right.
prominent time losses like bad climbs, scary siblings, and of course THK, who can just cost you a lot of time on his own.
All right. I mean, with zero skill and experience, I love.
Let's talk about Jeff for a
complimenting-
second,
I
who
love
is
complimenting
slurping
the
up.
runners as they fall to one mask. Yes, Jeff is slurping up Hera. That's 3 for 3 Dreamers. We are not just done yet. Zero taking a nice heal. Good work.
Yeah, we were not talking about Zero at all.
it's really the thing was I was about to say it's really even hard to say that Jeff has a lead at this point because of how skilled Xero is in this run, how much practice he has. But for now, yeah, we'll just say hope that Xero gets a good Dark Deep nest and just say that Jeff has more than enough geo to buy that distant village stag, not distance village, which is the last sort of expenditure in the run, and we'll be heading back to Hidden Station to go into the Abyss.
Yeah, exactly. The stag usually isn't a problem, and even if Jeff had been a bit low on geo, he could have killed another devout at a bit of a time loss, but without like a lot of problems. You rarely come to the stag station with lots of geo missing, and you
Yeah, the
usually
one
have
time
time
I've seen
beforehand to
it happen
compensate.
is a very unfortunate run in which Serp fell in Dark Deepness and then getting her shade back, died, lost all of her geo, and managed to farm it all back for DV Stag, including going into Dark Deep Nest for 1 geo. So these runners know where to get geo if they need it, but thankfully at this point, it won't be a concern for either of them as Xero heads into Hera.
With
And
exactly 5 geo to spare.
wow, you'll love to see it. Okay, Rixian, knock knock.
Give me a second.
I don't have the joke for you, and it's fine
Oh,
because
okay,
you
okay,
just need to respond.
okay. Who's there?
Hive.
Hive, who?
Well, I have no idea either.
Oh,
They're so bad, and I love them. Credits to Slort for that one. Slort sent us 26 knock knock jokes. Um, Once again, just a general call in that Virgil and I are running out of knock knock jokes. So if you have more, um, let us know. But for now, we'll watch Jeff's sibling climb. As always, I quote my dear first ever co-commentator, Quacksilver, in saying the sibling climb is very momentum based, as you could see from Jeff. Jeff had good momentum, was able to just start things out and keep things going. But if you get hit, you are much more prone to getting hit a second time, which makes you much more prone to taking a death. So it's just good. A good start and a good continuation typically means a good finish on the climb.
yeah, absolutely. These runners are now 21 seconds apart, exiting
Wow.
Hera. With Jeff's smooth sibling climb, that isn't much of an immediate time save for Xero, but that's really not a lot.
No,
It's not quite
absolutely not.
THK Parry's material yet, but it's getting there.
For sure. And we're just really going to have to watch this sort of heading over to Abyss Streak is just a lot of sea dashing and the like. But the Abyss climb will be critical for Jeff to maintain his lead. Abyss climb being one of the most popular individual levels. It is pure platforming. There are a lot of different ways you can do it because of the number of platforms. Some are much safer than others. So we're just going to have all eyes on that climb after the Abyss Streak split. Because it will likely be somewhat decisive in seeing how much of a lead Jeff gets to keep heading into THK.
Yeah, absolutely. While Xero is making his way to the other side, it's all very black and white right now. Just black and white sea dashes in opposite directions. Yeah, that practicing the Abyss climb is really hard. It can hurt your fingers a lot if you do it too much.
Yes. It is a painful, painful grind. And I mean, mad respect to those who run it as an individual level. It is incredibly optimized, and just really
Yeah,
a showcase of how beautiful Hollow Knight movement can be.
absolutely. I'll ping SpeedGaming
Yes,
real quick to see if we
we
can
will
get a
get a
resync.
resync.
That would be super appreciated. We'll see. Shoutouts while I'm at it to the SpeedGaming volunteers who have been doing tremendous work for this whole tourney.
Absolutely.
Just working in the background, guiding everybody. having automation in place, it's really cool.
And Jeff seeming to be having some trouble on the Abyss climb. Not any hits, which is definitely the thing you want to see the least, but at the beginning definitely had some struggles gaining momentum there. Does get through the latter half is very clean. But that first half of the Abyss climb is certainly improvable on Xero's side. Definitely some time to make up here.
Yeah, and he's also still way ahead. Jeff is still way ahead of his PB here. Not quite a minute, but a lot. So, assuming a good Hollow Knight fight, this is a PB and pretty pog.
Yes. We'll just hope for clean THK, and then hopefully when we get into that interview, we'll be able to congratulate Jeff on a fantastic PB, no matter which way this race swings. But we've asked SpeedGaming for a resync. It'll be happening in just a moment, so bear with the volunteers as they do that for us. But yes, chat, in addition to being extremely cute, is absolutely right. Everybody loves SpeedGaming volunteers. They do so much, and they've really made this entire tournament incredibly smooth. Their interface is very cool. So Jeff will be standing at Black Egg Door, hanging out there. Won't do any nail art storage or anything fancy because he's on track for a PB, and you don't want to waste any time when you've got that.
No, absolutely not. And Xero, in the meantime, doing the climb, taking a couple of the more faster, more advanced, scarier just strats like that triple spike pogo, which should also give him some additional time back. They exited Shriek 14 seconds apart, and this should reduce the lead further, so we're looking at a very, very tight ending here.
For sure. And so, yeah, Xero had a very good Abyss climb, and yeah, we're just going to have to see at this point. As Jeff heads into THK, second scream already. Yeah, we're just gonna have to see how this fight goes. Getting a lot of dashes, that's not really what you want the most, especially not those parries, but makes it to the third phase without issue. We'll choose to take a heal here. Makes a lot of sense. And yeah, just gonna keep screaming in this guy's face. That's all we can do at this point. It's the best we can ask for. And here's that sync.
There's the sync, just in time for everybody to get very hype. Jeff's THK isn't looking too healthy right now, so there isn't too much time left, but it's the biggest cliffhanger. I hope you like cliffhangers.
Yes. If you don't like cliffhangers, this is not the sync for you, but we here as your commentator team are very interested in this cliffhanger, because we're just gonna have to see. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit before they catch up, but you absolutely love to see it at this point. Going into THK.
Sure. Xero's gonna get to break these chains, not cycloning them, which is a bit of a hit and miss strat.
See, Rixin, you can pun with the rest of them. You can.
I can. I do regret it, but I can. And the sync still has them 30 seconds apart, but it's much closer. While we see Jeff here at 1 HP.
But into the fourth phase.
Not choosing to heal. Wow.
But definitely
GG.
A good choice. I mean, on this last phase, the last thing you want is for it to come down to you not playing it risky enough. Because in the end, it's a lot better to finish the fight if you know you can. Oh my gosh, and it looks like we're syncing again. This is fantastic. But this will definitely be a PB for Jeff. Pretty much about 20 seconds from when you kill the Hollow Knight. But I think that Xero is pulling this one out.
It does look like it.
Incredible comeback from Xero, honestly. To take a death in Crystallized Mound, such a terrible place, and then to be able to continue on and still win the race is super commendable. But just look at how close this is going to be. less than 10 seconds for sure. Yeah, 55:19 to 55:27. That is what you call an awesome race for both of them. We'll mark them both as done, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we're
just
super
marked them
excited to
as
have
done,
them in.
and wow, GG to both of them. We're I'm pretty stunned. This was very close, and both played out of their minds in the end.
Yeah, really, really awesome. I mean, the fact that Xero got a comeback win and Jeff got what was something close to a 30-second PB. I mean, I think both of
50, I
them
believe.
50-second PB. Wow, I think both of them are walking away from this race pretty happy, I would say.
Yeah, this is super good. Now I'll see if they're gonna come in.
Yeah, they're both
And there
here.
they are. GG.
Massive GGs.
GG. I wasn't watching the race. I guess that was close.
It was
It
close.
was very close, yeah. Xero took an unfortunate death in a crystallized mound, and you were ahead for half of the race until the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the final
I-
split actually, like right at the end.
Yeah, it was super
yeah, the
close.
last split. Well, I saw someone in chat say that I lost it on the Abyss Climb, but I actually golded my THK sprint split because that's how bad I am at Abyss Climb.
Congrats
That's
on the goal.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Congrats on the glob. I mean, that's the thing, is like everybody has their strengths, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that was almost a minute PB in a race I was confident I was going to get absolutely destroyed in.
And yet you nearly won. No, this was amazing to watch, like both of you.
Yes.
It was very stressful, like trying to save time against you in that race.
Were you watching?
watching Xero?
Yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, I was watching, and it made it absolutely insane. I realized when I died that I could still win, but I needed to save time against you
Mhm.
through the entire rest of the race, and that was a lot to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're definitely, obviously you're capable because you did it. But like, I feel like given the difference in our PBs, you have enough wiggle room for like a medium bad death, but a crystallized mound death is like the worst that isn't Hornet 1, which I almost died to.
Yeah.
yeah,
You both had some moments on very low HP that were a bit scary to watch. Like Xero heading into Dark Deep Nest was scary, and also heading into Basin.
Yeah, I golded Watcher Knights
Wow.
and then immediately bled 10 seconds to Isma and 10 seconds to Broken Vessel because I missed one of those fireballs and he didn't do the
Yeah.
headbang ever.
Yeah, we saw, I think you staggered him out of 2 different headbangs,
Yeah.
which is really unfortunate, and you missed the initial Fade Soul, so that was very tough. But yeah, you did have a fantastic Watcher Knights fight overall, and I mean, congrats on the glots, congrats on the PB. That's what made this race so incredible, is that one runner got a huge PB and the other runner got a huge comeback win. So I really couldn't ask for a better race to commentate.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. We kept an eye on both your PB pace and, of course, on Xero coming back, and it was very hype. I'm not sure if chat have additional questions. I'd actually like to know, Jeff, you didn't break the dive ceiling in City the first time around. Did you remember you had to do that the second time, or had you just...
I remember the second time. So the first time, I noticed coming out of Sanctum that I was like crazy high on Geo.
Yeah, you were rich.
Yeah, like I had 300 without even touching the husks at the bottom, which is nuts. So I fell down, and then the little cowardly husk at the bottom ran away from me. And I was like, I'm not going to waste time hitting him 3 times and breaking the ceiling. I'm just going to take the elevator out because I accidentally left it up anyway, which I don't normally do, so I guess lucked out. And then I was like, I can break it on the way back out after Lurian, and that'll be like it'll work out.
Yeah, it looked very smooth. I just wasn't sure if you just had collected soul just in case, or if you were actively preparing.
Yeah, no, I knew I had to break it the coming back down.
Yeah.
A one cycle would have done it.
Yeah, that was the difference.
I saved. So I was minus 27 after Cyclone, and I was minus 55 after Umu, because my last PB got a 3 cycle.
Oh my gosh.
Because I botched the 1 cycle so bad.
So Jeff, are you an adherent to Volley Umu then?
I just started like practicing it a couple times yesterday.
Wow.
Or, sorry, Thursday.
Wow, you picked it up fast.
Yeah, I've put like no practice into the 1 cycles, which I really should have because it's like a free 30 seconds. But basically every other category I run doesn't utilize those setups. So it was just completely new learning.
Yeah, it's quite different. But you made it work into a 2 cycle, and that's really good about that setup.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed the 1 cycle as well, actually.
Oh.
I don't know what went wrong with my setup, but
yeah,
something didn't work out.
People had different theories of like an early 4th nail hit or just like mistimed 3rd fireball.
Yeah, I think Rhino diagnosed a mistimed 3rd fireball. So
yeah, that was my problem with trying to learn the Shade Soul setup. Is like I was learning it in a pretty short time, and when stuff goes wrong, like I didn't have the knowledge to be like, oh yeah, this is what I did wrong. So it just felt random when I was trying to learn it. Whereas at least with the Valley one, it's very obvious, like he was stuck in the platform and he didn't get 2 doubles or whatever.
Yeah, that's a big thing for learning strats, is being able to diagnose what's going wrong. And yeah, I agree. It's a bit tough to figure that 1 cycle up, and I don't even know what went wrong. I guess watching back, I might be able to figure out and change my muscle memory there. But
yeah, it's pretty precise. And you are in the dark about half of it. So, chat wishes to know if both of you are aware what absolutely huge gamers you are. So please take this compliment and the spirit it was offered.
There were some spooky I'm looking forward to watching the race. I know I had some very spooky moments, and it sounds like Xero had some pretty spooky moments.
Yeah,
there was a fun moment on comms where I began to remark, it's really with Xero's experience and skill, it's really even hard to say that there's anybody in the lead. And as I started saying that, Xero went to 1 mask heading into darkness, and Rixion's like, let's talk about Jeff for now. I was like, good idea, and we pivoted.
Yeah, and Jeff was like slurping up Hera, so there wasn't really anything to talk about. But we did it anyway.
Oh my god! I was hitting Hera when Xero entered Deep Nest?
Your timers were desynced quite a bit.
Oh, okay. I was like...
about a minute of sync in the end.
I was like, I know my Abyss climb and stuff is bad, but good.
Is it that bad?
I was like,
you didn't.
Yikes.
You didn't lose a minute.
Quite the Abyss climb.
Yeah.
It'd have to be like the Abyss walk.
Yeah, I think you were about 22 seconds ahead exiting Hera. Something of that, in that range. So yeah, Xero, I can imagine that this was a stressful hour for you. Is there anything that felt good, even despite the death and having to catch back up?
Yeah, I guess it does feel like an achievement. I wasn't expecting this kind of race, and I somehow managed to, deliver and make up that time. So that feels good for sure. I was hoping for a calmer race, but I'm glad at least I did well.
Yeah, I mean, you both did really, really well. You with the clutch win, and Jeff with a huge PB in a race. Super impressive. As this is the last round of Swiss, that means Xero is now 4-1 and will definitely advance, and Jeff might, depending on how opponent win percent and stuff work out.
Yeah, my tie breaks are pretty terrible, and also if we end up doing the like bottom playoff to see which couple people get in, I have the worst PB in the 3-1 bracket prior to this match by like 3 or 4 minutes. I don't know how I even snuck
probably
into
2 or 3
3-1.
minutes now.
Yeah, a little bit less now, but still, like, I was very much the bottom of the 3-1 bracket.
Hey, that just speaks to your, overperformance in the races.
I mean, going forward, Jeff. I mean, even with that PB, do you think this has shown you, like, do you think there are any areas you plan on improving going forward? Do you think there could be another PB coming soon?
I mean, if I learn Umu one cycle consistently, that's a free 54. From where I'm at now. And like at various points in this race, I was plus 30 or minus 30 down to minus 15, and then a minute ahead, and then down to 40, and then back to a minute ahead. Like, I definitely bled some very bad time in this run.
Yeah. So 54 soon. Both these arrive. We'll be excited to see it.
Absolutely. I don't think we have any more questions in chat. Anything you two want to still comment on this hype race?
I guess now that the Swiss has ended, I just want to thank everyone that's been involved. Pisces and Somni organizing it, and there have been so many races as well, like 50 runners, and the races have been organized pretty well. There's been comms. You, I'm sure, were great this race, and there've been a lot of other great comms that I've discovered. So yeah, I'm just really grateful for everyone for getting involved.
Same. Yeah, it's Pisces Insomnia is like a huge thing to organize, and then also like people signing up for comms consistently and everything running super smoothly. It was just like a giant awesome community effort and showing. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think everybody is pretty impressed with how generally smoothly this tournament has been going, and how much good content we've seen. It's been way more than even expected.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I just really, as always, shout out to the SpeedGaming folks for making this entire apparatus go. But yeah, also to Pisces and Somni, the work they've put into this, and just everybody, the runners who show up for 5 different rounds to put in their best effort, even when things go wrong, even in a no reset setting, even when things are like, wow, holy cow, I fell in deep nest, I forgot an ability. We've seen the entire gamut of things here, and I also just can't thank this community enough for being so supportive and allowing folks like me who are newer to step up and give a commentary chance. And shout outs to Genkar, of course, for his wonderful timekeeping in chat. That was fantastic. And to Rixian for being an excellent co-commentator and eternal timekeeper.
All right, yeah, comments have been great. This has been my first ever commentary, and Herm has been fun to get me here. But yeah, I think this is it for now.
Yep. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you for another round of Hollow Knight All Skills. For me, that will be continuing on commentary in 30 minutes. So I'll be back soon. I hope you're not tired of me yet. But thank you so much. Thank you to runners, chat, SpeedGaming, Rixian for all being absolute cuties at all times. And we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Adios,
Just take
folks.
a short break, stretch for 30 minutes, and then come back here for water with flavor versus Eduboy.
Yes. Okay, bye, folks.